It looks good.
Um,
Here, really tell too much.
so boat selection process. Oh, this is going to be fun because I was part of that. And we're talking about the process that you followed to select your boat. What were the major factors? What were you trying to accomplish with the boat?
The major divide in the boat selection process was whether or not I wanted to have a trailer sailor or a quote-unquote real sailboat, okay? You all right?
Yep, I'm just doing some audio on my end.
All right. The advantage to a trailer sailor, obviously, is that you can take it to different bodies of water, okay? So if you want to go to small lakes, big lakes, whatever. The other advantage is that they're generally less expensive, and storage is going to theoretically be less expensive because you can keep it in your driveway. So that's what I was thinking that we wanted to do, because there's a lot of different places here in the Midwest that I'd like to sail, frankly, for the purpose of spearfishing and whatnot. And so that was a major consideration, was having a trailerable sailboat. But frankly, the effort that goes into trailering a sailboat, setting it up, launching it, squeezing in, 2 or 3 days of very exhausting sailing and diving, and then packing up and pulling out, it just didn't seem worth it in the grand scheme of things, especially, I'll be frank, as far as my wife was concerned. She watched us do it twice, setting up those McGregors, and it exhausted her just looking at it. It just didn't sound fun to her to spend a weekend pulling a trailer, launching this thing, setting it up, and all that crap. So that's when I said, I'm like, look, I would rather have a real sailboat, okay, a boat that's got a fixed keel on it and is more comfortable and reliable in the water, but it's a whole nother bag of worms. You're paying for docking fees, you're paying for dry docking, and you're basically, you go into like Lake Michigan, you can sail the Great Lakes, but you're not going to pull this boat out and go to Green Lake, Wisconsin. So that was the major divide.
Okay, that was cool. And I remember that initial part of it, and you would think, oh, well, how long did it take to make this decision? You went and saw the first McGregor. You went and saw each McGregor one time before you took me to see them. So I feel like it was at least 4 trips for you to go see boats, right? Before you
Yeah,
were
it was
"No
probably
way,
like
this is not
4
even."
months. Yep. It's when we came back, and there's a story for another time. It'd make an awesome podcast, was the experiences that we had with these McGregor 26M
That's what I was
owners.
saying. I didn't know how
Yeah.
long you wanted to spend on those, because those were just, kind of.
I think those should be independent podcasts. Those are just good independent stories.
Suffice it to say, they compromised on so many levels. You didn't have, it wasn't quite as sturdy and, robust as a fixed keel boat. And then, as far as the portability of it, it was still like a ton of work, so it was,
It could, you could make it work for yourself. Like, I could have bought one and it would have been a cool thing to have, but it's a compromise boat. It's a hybrid between a motorboat and a sailboat. And it's very compromised. You've got water ballasts and all this stuff. And theoretically, it sounds really cool, but when you use it, we found that it was a very squirrely boat. We found that the water ballast, hey, let's take on 1,500 gallons of water so that we can go sailing. It's like, what? It's just, I could go on and on about how weird those
people
boats
that don't
were.
know about sailing, or what a keel even is, the thought of taking on water into the boat is kind of like the very most opposite goal that you would ever have. It's a boater.
Yeah.
And someone who's taken on water on a boat, and has had some fun out there on Lake Michigan, which does get pretty unruly. So, yeah, I understand. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I could see somebody owning one and having a good time with it and stuff, but, when you put that next to what we bought, which was a Oceanus 351 made by Beneteau, I mean, I think most people would go with the Beneteau. But again, it's in Lake Michigan. I'm not taking that other places. So there's pros and cons either way.
So that being said, what kind of considerations did you take into account with the budgeting and, how things changed along the way?
Well, the budget definitely increased from McGregor 26 to the Beneteau. You know, you get what you pay for, so, the Beneteau was considerably more expensive, and yearly cost-wise, it's considerably more expensive. So,
How do you pay? How do you spell that?
Beneteau's tough. If you do Oceanus, Oceanus, maybe it's, yeah, 351. It'll figure it out for you, I think. Then, yeah, Beneteau.
Oh, Beneteau.
Is it-
There you go, there you go. It's French.
French. Oceanus comes up, it's probably one of their more popular models, it looks like. When you search Beneteau, the Oceanus is the first model that comes up.
Now, to be clear, I got a mid-90s Oceanus 351, so this that we're looking at, that's not what I wound up with, but, I mean, beautiful boat.
Oh, okay, he pulled one up here for us, cool.
Yeah, mine's an older model, but it gives you the flavor. I've only got one wheel on mine. This is one of the
Very similar, though, I mean, with that glass coming over the top there to the entranceway, and it all, the basic layout
Yep.
seems the same.
Yep.
And I guess it should probably be noted that, with that added price, it comes with markedly more utility, right? I mean, you have a nice sit-down, I remember sitting on that thing, there was room for 4 more people at that kitchen table, right? You could stand up,
Yep.
walk around, there's a bathroom, full head.
So I'll talk about I'll share the dollar values a little bit. When we were looking at McGregor's, they were all between $20,000 and $25,000. We didn't feel that they were worth more than $18,000. Like, we were not going to buy one for the asking price that we saw. So we decided that we wanted to look at 30 to 35 foot sailboats, and real sailboats, non-trailer sailors. Of course, there are really no trailer sailors that are larger than 25 feet. But sorry, distracted. But as we started looking at 30 to 35 foot boats, and we started looking in the price range of like $35,000 to $40,000, they all needed a lot of work. These were like former charter boats or boats that had just really been beat up, and I already had a project boat. I didn't want another project boat. So the next step up was in the $50,000 to $55,000 range for 35 foot boats, and that's roughly where the Beneteau came in at. So in other words, for a 35 foot boat that doesn't need a lot of work and is plug and play, ready to go, you're looking at the $50,000 to $60,000 price range.
Okay, and then, just to give an idea, relative to the same model boat, if you wanted to buy one new, like, so you've got one from the nineties, and, I mean, it still sails fantastic, the inside is beautiful. Um, you know, it's just a great experience. What are you looking to pay if you say, I want this same boat, or the equivalent of it, right? But I do, what are you looking at then?
The boats that we just scrolled through, looking at, equivalent
Yeah.
boats, $300,000.
Oh, okay.
Not doable.
So, right, but, you know, when you're trying to like, paint a picture of value of a used sail, you kind of get a considerable deal when you think about, I mean, if it is in the condition that you say it is, plug and play ready, which I know it was, I experienced it with you. If it still handles like, you know, $100,000 to $200,000 boat, you know, and still gives you that experience, because pretty. I don't know. I feel like you get a value.
We felt after doing all the research, first of all, we weren't going to spend more money than that. I mean, period. This was like more than we had ever considered spending on a frickin' boat. I mean, big time. But, right, as, you know, if you had $100,000, shit, man, go get the $100,000 boat. But that 50 to 60 really seemed like the sweet spot for getting the most value. Because that compared to the McGregor, you know, you can sleep 6 people. It's got an
Most value,
onboard.
right?
Most value. I mean, it's like a mini condo in there. It's so comfortable.
Yeah, it's like an apartment on the water. You've got your refrigerator, you've got the stove. I feel like there was a microwave on there, if I'm not mistaken.
There is,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, it just had everything, the sink. Um, just amazing experience for someone who had never been on like a real sailboat before, you know, that you could traverse large bodies of water. So
Blew
with
my
that being said,
expectations
like, what
away,
are some of
man.
the unique challenges? Well, that's always nice, you know? Doesn't always go like that. So were some of the unique challenges or advantages of sailing in this area that a new boat owner should be aware of?
Well, the first advantage is that if you live near the Great Lakes, consider taking advantage of them. You know, people feel bored in the Midwest. There's awesome stuff to do on the Great Lakes, whether you're into sailing or fishing or diving or, you know, at its most simplest form, just going and looking at it and getting that feeling and that experience that you get from being, you know, near a body of water. So that's the biggest advantage, is that we're fortunate enough to live near something like that. The challenges are, you know, pretty great. We sailed that little 18-foot boat in Lake Michigan for 3 years, and it's dicey. I mean, you know, get out there on the wrong day, and you could definitely capsize a little day sailor like that. In a boat like this, a 35-foot boat, heavy or relatively heavy displacement, you know, you can be out there and feel much safer about what you're doing. I would say, you know, this isn't so much specific to the Great Lakes, but one of the biggest challenges with sailing is, one, just learning how to do it. So, you know, if you're brand new to it, it would be very difficult just to jump on a sailboat and figure it out. And no matter how experienced you are as a sailor or as a boater in general, docking is one of the most challenging and sketchiest aspects to being on the water. That's, in my experience, that's when things go wrong, you know, the worst. So,
It's the equivalent of the airplane landing, right?
yeah, exactly.
Always the most dangerous time. you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Never thought
Takeoff
of
and
that.
landing.
Yep.
What about the seasonal considerations about boating in Chicago? How does that affect your planning?
Well, I mean, we start diving in April, and I plan on launching my boat in April, you know. You need to watch the weather closely, but I want to maximize my season. So we're getting in at April, and we're diving up until, and sailing up until October. Um, Frankly, we know some guys that are probably still diving now. So it's a wider season that you might think. It's not as much fun being on the water when it's cold, obviously, but, you know, it's pretty decent. You've got 2 or 3 months where it's summer and warm enough that you feel like you're getting that aspect to it, you know, being in shorts and tank top and all that good stuff.
But it's always cold when you jump in it, any time of year, we know that.
Yeah, you get down south and maybe you'll find some like warmer temperatures, but to the average person who has the average acclimation to water temperature, yes, it's freezing cold. But that's what wetsuits are for, you know.
Exactly. You touched on a little bit about the safety, at least in terms of, I guess, the size of the vessel and compared to the McGregor, and, you know, we talk about dicey conditions. So, like, in terms of safety and training, what safety precaution and training do you consider essential for sailing in the region?
I would say the biggest thing is knowing your limits and knowing the limits of the boat and monitoring weather and just avoiding getting in bad situations in the first place. Different boats and different captains have different capabilities, and that's not something that you want to push, you know. And if you do push it, do it in a metered way, you know. With the little boat, what I would do is I would launch when conditions were relatively calm, seeing that the forecast was for things to pick up over the course of the day. And that's how I found kind of the limits of the boat and the limits of myself. Like, okay, it's starting to get a little rougher than I like, time to go back. So that's the biggest safety consideration. Above and beyond that, the next thing is man overboard drills. So I look forward to doing a lot of videos that over the summer where we practice doing man overboard with, we'll start with just using like fenders or floats or something like that and recovering them under sail and under motor. And eventually when we're confident, we can jump in with our spearfishing gear and wetsuit, you know, and do it that way. The other thing,
Throw me out there first.
you're going to be first, and then I'll do it, because the other thing, safety-wise, is you want to have more than one person on the boat that can operate the boat. So, you know, if you've got
No,
only
it's a-
one person that can pilot the boat, that's a kind of dangerous thing, you know.
Well, it's a big consideration, you know, it's one thing to be out there on a jet ski or a speedboat and just turn around and go get somebody, but, you know, with those sails, and if they're, you know, if you're under sail, and, you know, you have to know how to turn that thing around without capsizing the boat, you know, hurting yourself and up, you know, hurting the
Shit
person
gets
you're
real on
trying
a
to rescue.
sailboat, man. Things start going sideways, and you gotta, yeah, it's a very real thing.
Oh, it's good to know. Can you share some of your favorite destinations or routes in the Chicago area and why they're special to you?
Yeah, I mean, any new harbor is fun, but I mean, Belmont is very cool. Burnham Harbor is awesome. Morgan Shoal, I enjoy a lot. We've done some cool dives there. We've dove the Racine Shoals. They're pretty sweet, but the big one probably not for 24, because 24 is going to be continuing to get the boat squared away and get myself as the captain and the crew squared away. But in 2025, the destination is Sleeping Bear Dunes National Park. So it's an island off the coast of Michigan, and it's got a really cool little like crescent moon shaped bay on the east side, and I want to anchor there and go to shore. Um, Be pretty awesome. So that's a big trip up there.
What did you say it was called?
Sleeping Bear Dunes, or yeah, it's Manitou Island, but this will sort of get us there. This might show like the mainland, but yeah, there you go.
National Lakeshore. Or in
Yeah, right where
Michigan.
that pin
sounds
is.
like an incredible voyage. I mean, I've never heard of this. I'm loving these islands. There is a lake in the middle of that Manitou Island. I wonder what that's all about, man. There's a
I'd like to
lake
check
in the
that out,
middle of
too.
the island that looks incredible. It'd be
Yeah.
so fun to camp on there and hike. And so, is there mooring and things around there where we could camp on that island? Oh,
There's some old wrecks. There's all kinds of cool stuff up there, man. It's an awesome
well,
destination.
we're doing it. It's
Yeah.
an awesome destination. That's great. It's the first I've heard of it. And your
It's a hike.
estimation, how, I'm sorry?
It's a hike up there.
How long of a sail?
I'm
Yeah.
estimating
How long you
that
thinking?
24 hours.
Really? Wow.
Go straight through.
Seems fast to me.
Depends on the conditions and whatnot, but
Look at the lake trapped inside that island. How
Yeah.
about that? I wonder how clear that water is, and then you see the tributary
They say-
that it flows in. I don't know.
I don't know about the inland lake, but they say that Lake Michigan around there is just incredible biz.
Yeah, that just looks amazing. And
You can
in
probably
those
see
areas-
this wreck.
Look at that. Looks like it looks like the Caribbean almost with the viz, and we can get the good fish up there, right? Northerns and walleyes and lake trout.
No, it's not. It's not in the legal zone.
Oh, is it out?
Oh, I was tripping. I was like, where am I hearing that? Yeah, it's too far north, unfortunately.
Okay.
But carp, you can shoot carp and drum. Sail 24 hours up there,
Yeah, I can't wait.
shoot some carp.
I'm saying in 24 hours, I could be down at Isla de Cedros. But I won't be on your boat with you and John, so it might not be as fun. Looks pretty nice.
Be something to see. I mean,
It's amazing what you can do with this Discord. Is that the wreck? Let's go back to that wreck.
yeah,
Is
that's,
that one of the wrecks?
that's the wreck.
Oh my God.
This was a captain back in the, I think, I might be butchering the story, but back in the 30s or 40s who took an ill-advised trip in November north. And
That goes right back to what you were saying earlier when we were talking about safety, though. And you're like, well, the first thing is you just have to watch your conditions and make a decision as to what if you're going to sail or not. Well, that's like
Right.
the first thing in anything. These commercial guys, they don't have a choice, and that's why
well,
there's so many
they
wrecks
said
out
this
there.
guy was an asshole.
Oh,
Everybody felt like this guy was a jerk.
well, there's his legacy to prove it. Gorgeous.
They say the stargazing up there is pretty sick
Man,
too.
it's just so
Very
incredible
dark.
how many beautiful places in this country, you know? You- There's just, it's so vast. Climates and topographies you get, And, that's the beauty of sailing is, it's just another way to get there.
Sure. It's all about the journey with sailing. If you can't embrace the time on the boat, then it's not for you, you know?
That's what it
You're
is,
just
right? And
about
that's what applies
destinations.
to-
There's faster ways to get there, so.
Right.
It is. It is how life is.
You know, it's an analogy.
Yep.
I lost our list here, unfortunately, and I'm still trying to figure out how this works.
Yeah, this island looks amazing.
What's that, John?
It looks amazing. The photos are.
Yeah.
This 360 is pretty unbelievable.
Oh, here we go. Have you engaged with any of the other local sailors in the Chicago area?
I've met so many sailors this year, and it's such an awesome community. I mean, first of all, in terms of, we should do a podcast sometime just on the process of buying a boat, the surveys and the brokers and all this stuff. But I met my broker, a guy named Jack Walby, just like, you know, very cool guy to have met and helped along with the process. And then it's difficult to go to marina and not meet new people and sailors. People are very open and helpful with things and tend to be characters. So it's a pretty awesome community of people.
Yeah, they're already out there, and you know, they're trying to get they're in their best place, right? So, and if they're
Yeah.
even remotely friendly people, you know, remotely sociable, I mean, you're gonna meet people, you know, you're gonna make friends quicker than.
The only ones to look out for, sorry to cut you off, the only ones to look out for, McGregor 26M owners. Now, if you see them, I would stay out of the way. They tend to crash into docks a lot. They tend to be real squirrely. They'll be nice to you one minute and then start tripping out on you the next.
In their defense, crash docks, I mean, operating a McGregor 26, and so, you know, you got that whole, you know, you gotta get the winch out just to turn the steering wheel, you know? And God forbid,
Yeah.
God forbid you have, you know, anything mounted to the, in the throttle area that you can't throttle the boat up all the way. So you know, in case you do get into trouble and you gotta give them, you know,
Yeah.
like a break for sure. Look at,
Yeah,
you see more people selling them than buying them.
yeah.
Look at all those McGregors for sale. Oh, man. Yeah. Just like anything, you know, it seemed like a good idea at the time, right? Hey, go up a little
Theoretically,
bit,
it's-
John, I think I might have saw one that crashed into something. Scroll up a couple, John. Yeah, let's see what we got here. What's going on? Hang on, John. Hang on, John. Go back a little. Slow. The other way.
No,
No,
it's-
no. Don't change it. You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. Oh, well, that's even more interesting. There was one that was like, there it is. Was he moored there? Oh, okay. Maybe I was seeing it wrong. Well, then what's your advice besides avoiding the 26M for any other sailors in the Chicago area going to purchase a boat? Wait till spring.
If you're,
Wait till winter. Purchase in the winter, right? But then you can't test it.
yeah, I would just look at as many boats as you can and make sure that you're getting what you want and get a survey done on the boat. However, even if you're getting a survey done on the boat, I would at that time, do your own independent survey on the boat. So if you can spray a garden hose over the windows and look for leaks. If you've got a voltmeter, hook it up to the batteries. Make sure that things drain properly. If something is glitching out a little bit, don't tell yourself, oh, well, it's just like glitching out a little bit. It's probably on the fritz and about to break, like my autopilot. But yeah, those are the big things that I'd say. Just look at a lot of boats and make sure that it feels right and is within your budget. But it's fun just going and looking at boats, So, I mean, that's an adventure
Hence
in
the boat
itself.
shows, right? There's where the.
Yeah, the
there's-
boat-
there's the
well-
boat show. It's fun looking at boats.
Then you're looking at brand new boats if you got that kind of money.
Right.
Yeah, the Chicago Boat Show's coming up here in January. I want to go.
Awesome. Look at all those boats, huh, John? That's right. We could walk there from John's house. We walk to McCormick Place from John's all the time.
Yep. Yeah. It's oh yeah. January.
I was looking at tickets today. They're $30 a piece.
Save $2.
Save $2 if you buy it online.
So what you got? One more cool question? A real cool one?
Those were all the questions that we kind of
Oh, we got one more.
wrote out, That's pretty fun, though. That went really nice and smooth and relaxed, right? Just us talking about something we were interested in. And we had John
Pretty good.
running through the internet here, doing visuals.
Yeah, I guess we can wrap it up. Well, thanks, Jack and Brad. We'll up until
No
next
problemo.
time. Sounds good.